series. Oh, okay.
Now I'm
Oh, good. Okay. I hope it's okay that this is recorded for everybody. If not, please state that. Okay, so next slide. Oopsie. We're having problems already. We can't get the next slide up.
Just a second.
Okay. Mine did the first series, Mine Görgüven, the first talk in this lecture. Hi, everybody. Now I see where you are. Okay, and the second one will be, hang on, let me see. The second one is Behice.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The time I started sharing, recording,
It got messed up.
something happened here. Literally one more time.
Okay, try again, and I'll keep talking. The next one in the series is Behice Ertinu, and she'll be doing on kutuplaşma karşısında sürdürülebilirlik anlayışın ve birleştirici gücü. That sounds interesting. And then Fatoş Erkmen on kişiler arasında ilişkiler. Oh, there we go. Super, thank you. Yay. Okay, and then Maggie Pinar on yaşanabilir ortam için yaşam dili. And finally, Aylin Vartanyan Dilaver on doğa temelli sanat çalışmaları ve çatışma dönüşümü. She'll be doing more things with drama, etc. Okay, but I'll be doing teaching social and emotional skills in the classroom. Okay, next. Okay, so what are actually social and emotional skills? And why do we need them in the classroom? I mean, it's really, really important because education isn't just about being academics. We need to teach our students how to be successful humans and not just successful students. Being a successful student is being good, in math or science or whatever, but to be a successful human is much more important. Okay. Castle has been dealing with this question for quite a long time. They're a very good organization, and they deal in social and emotional learning. So take a look at the middle thing there, social and emotional learning. And then on the outer rings, you see it's in the classroom, and then that goes into the schools and into the homes and communities. So what are the different parts of social and emotional learning? It starts with self-awareness, and that's what I'll be talking, my talk will be also first about self-awareness, and then on to self-management, and then going around the circle, and then that will lead to responsible decision-making. My understanding of it is a little bit different. I would go, and we'll talk about that in a minute, self-awareness, self-management, and then awareness of others, in other words, social awareness, and then relationship skills. We're not going to be talking too much about responsible decision-making here, just a little bit, okay? So mainly we're going from self-management to the left, self-awareness, and then self-management, and then social awareness and relationship skills, okay? Those are the different components. Okay. Okay, this is a little video that Castle has put out to explain what social and emotional learning is. So let's watch that right now. It's just a little 2-minute. Oh, no.
Because I don't have the original file. I'm just using the presentation here. So let's try.
Okay. It looks like it's going to work.
But maybe just share and then restart.
Okay, sorry for these little problems. That's not it, by the way. There we go. Is there any sound to it?
We all hear.
Do the people
Social emotional learning to me provides students with purpose. SEL was a great foundation and catalyst for me. It taught me to value education and value human connection.
Social and emotional learning is the process by which children grow and develop their emotional lives and their relationships.
Well, social emotional learning gives the space where people can actually look at students as more than just numbers on a standardized test. We give people the space to explore who they are as people, to look at their identity, to recognize how important relationships are, and what it means to be a successful human, not just a successful student.
In my classroom, they are able to share the things that are personal to them. They're able to celebrate one another's differences. They're inclusive of each other despite what race, socioeconomic, or gender they're from.
SEL promotes academic achievement in effective ways, raising test scores 11 percentile points. It reduces anxiety and distress as well. So it improves pro-social behavior and how kids get along and attend in the classroom.
SEL is rocket fuel. It is the thing that can actually accelerate the advancement of our society.
When I think about a healthy environment for my daughter, I'm looking at, are those teachers engaged? Are they showing her to be an empathetic person? When teachers are engaged and they have that engagement with the students are going to excel.
The educators, the families, the community members, and the students agree that this is important.
How do we make sure that kids don't just get a segment of their life where social and emotional learning is important, but they're getting that in all parts of their life?
Right now, we have an untapped pool of talent. And so the idea is to leverage SEL in order to help young people realize those talents and thereby help the broader society and, in fact, the world.
We really can create schools that inspire, that help students find their sense of self, that help students find their sense of purpose, to learn how to relate to one another, and to better prepare kids for wherever they choose to go in life.
Well, SEL taught you to step up when you need to, but also step back when you had to. So you were creating space for yourself, but also making space for others.
Now we open a new chapter, and the new chapter is inviting educators, families, young people, scholars, policymakers, inviting the whole country into the dialogue about the kind of social and emotional development we want to promote for all of our children in the future.
So that's a lot of words. What does it actually mean when you're talking about the classroom? So that's what we'll be talking about now, I hope. Okay. Let's see. Okay, slide number 8. Because
We need to turn off the value. I think that's now you try.
yeah, but they're not going to be able to hear me, are they? This is frustrating. Okay, I don't know. Is there an echo for the people on Zoom? Next slide there. Okay, what the next slide is going to show, and hopefully it'll be up soon, is about the actual scientific basis for this and how it is, what is the science behind it? Like, is this really something that works? Is this really something that doesn't work? In 2011, there was a meta-analysis of 213 studies done by this CAS. Sorry, now I lost my slide.
I don't know how to solve this.
Sorry, folks, we're having problems.
Now you try it.
Try what?
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me? I hope so. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so in 2011, there was a meta-analysis of 213 studies about student social emotional learning programs that Castle did. And there were 270,000 students that were included in this study, and all the way from kindergarten to 12. And what the science showed that was that there are gains definitely in social emotional skills, improved attitudes about self, others, and their school in general, a positive, more positive classroom behavior. And as that guy in the video mentioned, there was an 11 percentile point gain on standardized achievement tests. Now that's really kind of amazing that the social and emotional development has carried over into their actual academic achievement. It also has reduced problems and reduced emotional distress in the students. I have found this in myself as a teacher when I put more social and emotional learning into my own classrooms, and in Robert College when we put social and emotional learnings more into the classroom, into especially our prep program, and now it's going into all levels. And with the advancement of doing things like social entrepreneurship, which is new and very big at Robert College, and also the community service, it really had an effect. And that's basically social and emotional learning too. It had a huge effect on classroom behavior and on school-wide behavior too. Unfortunately, we didn't do any studies about it, but we just had like lots of anecdotal things that we could talk about. So next slide. Okay, and the goals of my talk today are, first, we're going to talk about how one of the goals should be awareness of our inner states for social and emotional learning. The students and adults everyone should be aware of your own inner state first. Awareness of your own feelings. After you're aware of your own feelings or your own inner state, then you can start to understand it, and that would help us to actually direct our feelings, manage our feelings somehow. I won't say control our feelings, because it's not a matter of controlling them necessarily, and it's certainly not a matter of doing away with our feelings, but how to direct them rather than have them direct us. And then another huge goal is to be the awareness of other people's inner states. After we're aware of our own inner states, only then can we be aware of other people's inner states and have any sort of empathy or understanding of what the other person is going through. And that's the only way we can really have a good relationship with a person. So the next goal is how to be more skillful in relationships with others, which is built upon number one, awareness of our own inner state, awareness of our own feelings, awareness of others' inner states and feelings, and then we can be skillful with our relationships with other people. Okay, so strategies, we'll be talking about this more, but just in general, things we can do for strategies to be aware of our own inner state and teach this in the classroom is you can tell stories. And again, we'll get into that more deeply later. To talk about feelings. Sorry, it's kind of written weird there, but talking about feelings is huge, huge, huge, huge. The teacher should be aware of the feelings of the class, and it's something that is not, it's kind of overlooked a lot, especially in Turkish schools, I think, but I think in schools around the world, the teacher is not so aware of what the students' feelings are. They are not comfortable to talk about their feelings in class, but this is a huge step in social and emotional learning. You can do this with feeling cards. Bir Başka Okul Mümkün has put out feeling cards, which you can get from them. Also, Ashoka, which is a wonderful, wonderful resource and organization, has put out feeling cards and which you can get from them. Opening and closing circles, which again we'll be talking about. Okay, next. All right, so we're going to start. I said opening circles. Okay, this can be done from all ages, like pre-kindergarten all the way up to I do it when I teach us my class here at this university. We start out with kind of an opening circle and how do we feel today? Okay, so this is a list of feelings here, and I want you to pick one out right now. These are positive feelings. So take a look. We also, the next slide is negative feelings. You might not be feeling so positive. You might not be feeling, you know, a feeling of closeness or community or safety or calm or whatever. You might be feeling the negative ones. Let's look back at the negative ones and then we'll come back to the positive ones again. So these are some negative feelings. By the way, these two lists are taken from the Center for Nonviolent Communication, which I will again talk about more and more. They deal with how to talk about feelings, etc. So these lists are from their websites. Can we go back to the positive feelings, hopefully? So I'd like you to pick out a positive or a negative feeling. And if you have a notebook with you, write down what you're feeling right now. And then I would like to share this. We've got a couple people here at Boğaziçi, and then there's a couple people, the ones who are on Zoom. Could you put in the chat how you're feeling right now? Okay, pick a word, and it can be positive or negative, really, but just, and of course, there's no right or wrong answer to this. This is what one has to stress as a teacher again and again. For these kind of things, there's no right or wrong answer. It's how you are, and being honest is the best policy here, because there's no point in being secret about your feelings when you're talking about feelings. So put in the chat what you're feeling right now, and let me ask you guys in the audience, how are you feeling right now? Can you find one?
Love and equality.
Equality. Equality, is quality here? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. That's nice. That's really nice. I won't go into why, but you might, that would be the next step then. Why are you feeling this way? What about you?
Consciousness. Becoming aware of these concepts and how they're part of our lives.
Okay, I'm not sure whether you on Zoom can hear this, but we have equality and consciousness from the people in the audience here.
Creativity.
Creativity, okay.
Companionship.
Companionship, yes, that's nice. That's kind of what I, yeah, thank you.
Center.
Yes.
Peace Education Center. We are colleagues and do this together.
Yeah, and I feel supported by that. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's look in the chat and see what people said. People in the chat have said presence. Okay, stressed by overwork. I'm sorry about that, Banu, but it's good to know that, and it's good to pinpoint that. Anybody else who wanted to share? I think that's about it. Okay. So that's what we would call kind of an opening circle about what you're feeling. And that way the teacher has, if you do this every day, whether it's like a kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, or university, then the teacher has their finger on the pulse of the class. So she can feel, or he can feel what's going on. He can figure out what's going on in the class. Because how many times has a teacher gone, you know, I used to do it, or I sometimes do it still. You know, you go in there and you think you have a great lesson plan and you go in, but the kids are so bummed out by something that's happened that it just doesn't sink in. So you need to really have these opening circles, again, at all ages, to have your finger on the pulse of the class so that you know what's going on with them. Okay. So once we kind of are aware of our own feelings, how can we start to manage them? One way is mindfulness, and I think some other people are going to be talking about this. And I know you in your session, Nina, you talked about this a lot. One really easy way to do, well, not easy, but one way to do this is to just breathe. Okay, you look inside yourself and really try to breathe. In your talk, Mina, I saw that you had a very nice little thing you can download where it's like a triangle or a circle where you breathe in and then out, and then in and out. It's a visualization. What we're going to do today is I want you to try it here right now. The people on Zoom also. We're going to take it one step further than a simple one. We're going to breathe in as long as we can, the deepest breath you could possibly do. And then we're going to let it all out, just really, really so far out that when you get to the bottom, it will be like you don't even have to work to breathe in. It'll just like, the air will just rush back in, okay? So I'm not sure whether I explained that well. So what basically we'll be doing is we'll be taking a very, very deep breath, and I'll be counting while you do it, and then make a shh sound as you blow out. So breathe in through your nose, okay? And then we'll be making a shh sound and getting it all out as you breathe out. Are we ready? Okay, so we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, hold it. Okay, now we're gonna go shh, shh. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so any questions about that? Did everybody? Yeah, we all okay with that? Okay. Okay, so again, we're going to breathe in, and we'll breathe into a count of like 12. And then we'll hold it, and then we'll shh out to a count of about 20. We'll try, okay? And then see what happens. It'll rush back in. That's the idea. The air will rush back in. Okay, ready? So, okay. So, what did I say we do? 12, right? Okay. Okay, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Hold it. Shh. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In. Okay? All right. How do you feel after doing that? Any different? Okay, next slide. Okay, and press it again because it's got an animation to it. Hopefully it comes up. That's interesting. That wasn't what I wanted to come up. No, not that. Okay, anyway, sorry. I had a quote there by a guy from, if you yeah, click somewhere on the white part. Yeah, breath is a powerful way to control your mind and body because you can adjust your autonomic nervous system. You actually have control of your autonomic nervous system. That's your automatic nervous system. You can also decrease anxiety and even lower your heart rate by breathing exercises, says John Eleftheriadis of the Aortic Institute of Yale. One other thing about breathing, this is not so nice actually, and certainly for peace education, it's not nice, but the US Army actually trains its Navy SEALs in breathing exercises, and before they go in and they do a, yeah, before they go in and they do like a, an operation, they have them doing this so that it focuses them. So that's definitely not why we want to do it, but if even they're using the power of it, it means it works. Okay, now take a look at these words, okay, and I want you to figure out, what are these? And again, put it into the chat maybe, if you're there on Zoom. Or what are these words? They can all be grouped under one word. What are they? I'll give you a minute or two to look at them.
Things we need.
Huh?
The things that we need.
Yes, those are all needs. They're all human needs. So they're not emotions, although some of them look like emotions, like community or companionship. Those are actual human needs, okay? Our needs are not just the physical well-being, air, food, movement, etc., but they're also connection, companionship, play, peace, autonomy, and meaning. We all need to have meaning in our life. So why am I bringing this up? Needs. If we look at the positive emotions that we saw earlier, all the positive emotions, they're necessary for good communication, says Banu. Yes, that's true. But actually, this is underneath the communication. So all the, let's see, can we go to the next slide? positive emotions actually come out of met needs. So if your needs are being met, then you have a positive emotion. It feels good. If your needs are not met, if your need for companionship, for example, is not met, then you feel lonely, you feel isolated, it's a very negative feeling. But if they're met, then you feel positive, you feel good. So this was like, when I found about this is one of the main tenets of nonviolent communication, and other things too, of course. It's a wisdom of the ages. But when I kind of realized this, it was a huge paradigm shift, because wow, all positive emotions come from your met needs, and your negative emotions come from your unmet needs. So when you become aware of those emotions, we said being aware of the emotions is the first step. Then go one step under it is, okay, what need is being fulfilled or not being fulfilled here? Okay, very, very important for understanding ourselves. Okay, is there something in that white box? Yes, awareness of our needs. Excuse me. So if we are aware of our own needs, then we can be aware of others. Only then can we be aware of others' needs. Once we are aware of others' needs, we can start real communication with them. Okay, so going to awareness of others' inner states and empathies. Empathy, by the way, I've learned from your talk in Turkish, because I never knew how to say it in Turkish, is duygudaşlık, which is great. And whoever finally came up with that, I was trying for years to find a good word for it. There it is. How can we actually teach like awareness of others' inner states? This is what I'm going to be talking about now for the next couple slides, and I'm going to focus on this. One way to do this is role play. And Mina knows many ways to do this, especially for the early years. But one way to do it that I've seen work, and this is something that I haven't done myself because I'm not I haven't had experience with early years, but it's with persona dolls, or in Turkish kimlik bebekleri. And Çaba-Çam, which is linked with our center here at Boğaziçi, Barış, Eğitimi, Araştırma ve Uygulama Merkezi, and also in Çanakkale 18 Mart Üniversitesi. And that was set up by Ebru Aktan Açar and Maggie Pinar, also from our center, does lots of trainings here. And these kimlik bebekleri, or persona dolls, are a great way to teach not just empathy, but to teach social and emotional learning, actually, with very young students. I have a video on the next one, if we can get it started. This is actually, they're not using it to teach in this video. They're not using it to teach social and emotional learning, but you can see the strategy. It was very clear how the strategy is used with the persona doll. So take a look at this. I probably need to put myself down again.
Excited to share a story with you. Can we listen to her story? Yeah, okay.
SEAL is fundamentally about giving kids the power of language and literacy for all their purposes in life.
Children learn and develop best where they feel safe, where they feel a sense of belonging and part of a caring community. The persona doll is one of those strategies that really creates that kind of opportunity, that chance for kids to ask questions, for them to hear about experiences, for them to think about their own experiences, and then makes the openings for them to talk about themselves.
Oh, she said if you see this picture, the beach doesn't look beautiful. What do you think is wrong?
I see her face sad.
You see her face sad? Yeah. What about her face tells you that she's sad?
Because the trash is around her.
Is that what it was, Sarah? She said yes.
A persona doll has their own story, their own life experiences, their families, their likes and dislikes that they bring to the classroom as a member of the classroom.
Sarah wants to know, what are some ideas you came up with? How can you help the earth? And those ideas are going to help Sarah. Anais, how can you help the earth?
Okay, she's, okay.
Now.
Okay, the teacher here,
We are
it's
having the
echoing.
same problem right now. I don't know why. Just a sec.
How about now? No?
Maybe now.
Yeah, good. Okay, can we go maybe back? So I don't really need this one up here. Yeah, okay. This teacher that you just saw in that little clip isn't using it for social and emotional learning. She was using it to try to teach recycling in that particular lesson. But it's really, really good for social and emotional learning because it's an how can I say this? It takes it one step back from the kids themselves. So if you notice that the teacher notices that there's a problem in the class, but she doesn't want to ask a particular student, like what's going on, she can have that doll kind of be a spokesperson, and you can bring up very sensitive topics in this way. For example, I know that they can have, if the doll has a certain personality, which it will be that same personality all the way through. It could be like whatever the problem is in the class in general, like maybe the doll is a Syrian refugee. Okay, and you build a backstory about her. And if there's some refugees or something like that in the classroom or in the school. And then she can talk about her own experiences. And the doll whispers to the teacher, and the teacher interprets that to the kids talk back through the doll that way. So it's very, very effective. She was modeling it very nicely in that way, not necessarily, again, using it for social and emotional learning, but it's an extremely important tool there. And this Chabacham and Ebru and Maggie do trainings in it. If you're interested, please contact them. They do wonderful trainings in this kind of thing all the time. Okay. Are there any questions, by the way, at this point, maybe? No? Okay, so if we're going on to teach, let's talk about teaching relationship skills now. So we've gone from, we'll go back to empathy in the end, and I'm sorry, in a little while, but we've gone from, awareness of our inner selves, awareness of our feelings, awareness of others. Okay, relationship skills. How are you going to teach this now? Okay, three examples are nonviolent communication, which I've brought up before. And there's a very, very active nonviolent communication society here organization here in Turkey, Şiddetsiz İletişim. They have you can join up there. They have trainings all the time. Some of them are free, some of them are you have to pay for. You get certificates for the ones that you pay for. It's an excellent, excellent community who give super trainings. Conflict resolution skills is another way, or teaching conflict resolution, teaching mediation. Being a mediator is another way to teach relationship skills. Anti-bullying training. Bullying is, a problem, I guess, throughout the world, probably since day one. And there are trainings which are anti-bullying trainings and activities about that. Okay, let's look at the first one, Şiddetsiz İletişim. I can't give you a training in Şiddetsiz İletişim and nonviolent communication really right now, but the basic idea of it, I'm just going to give you really quickly, the basic idea of it is, first, let's say you have a conflict with a person, okay? So, and you want to talk with that person about, you're trying to solve this problem. Instead of just like yelling at them, because that's what you really want to do, you state the situation objectively. Okay, then you state your feelings, how you feel about it, and because feelings, there's need underneath the feelings, then you tell what you need, and then you make a request to the person. So just giving you an example to make it maybe more real from a teacher's point of view, let's say you have a student that you're teaching face-to-face now, and this person always is coming in late. Or you could do it okay, let's do that, and then we can do it on a Zoom example. So this student is always coming in late, and it's really starting to bother you. So the student comes in late, let's say his name is Ahmet. Ahmet comes in late again, and you say, Ahmet, you're always late. Okay, that isn't going to solve the situation at all. really, because Ahmet immediately is going to think of those times that he wasn't late, because he's not always late, probably. Maybe he's late 80% of the time, but he's probably not always late. And he'll remember those 20% of the times that he wasn't late. So how can you state that objectively? You can say something like, Ahmet, it's Wednesday and you've been late. This is the second time this week already you've been late. Okay, there's nothing he can say to that because it's true. It takes, I mean, you have to be really conscious of like how many times he's been late and say it, but there's nothing he can say. His defenses are not as strong as they would be if you say, you're always late. He's going to have a huge wall of defenses there and he's not going to be able to hear what you're really saying because he's just being defensive. So you say, Ahmet, you've been late, you know, it's Wednesday and you've been late. This is the second time this week already you've been late. So you've been late 2 out of 3 days this week. And this makes me feel, okay, teachers don't like to show their feelings. What would I feel? This makes me feel frustrated. Okay, because I need to have everybody here on time to start my lesson. You now you've missed 10 minutes of the lesson. So what am I going to do? So please try to be on time. Of course, what my students always say is, why don't you find out why he's late? Which of course, yes, you'd want to do that too. Take him aside and say, you know, what's going on? Why are you late? Etc. But as far as nonviolent communication would go, these are the steps. Okay, next. Okay, so any questions on that before we go on to conflict resolution? I'm going to give you an example of conflict resolution. No? We have anything in the chat? Any questions?
I have one question.
Yeah.
I think that would work for really small kids, like 3, 4, 5 years old. Could they understand what you're actually saying? Like, you know, starting from stating the situation objectively and, following up all the steps that you just presented. Do you think that they would understand?
Yeah, I think so.
Something that we can use for small children?
I definitely think so, yeah. And I know that the Center for Nonviolent Communication recommends that they use it in preschools and kindergartens. So thank you for that. Unfortunately, when I was bringing up my own child, I didn't do this because I didn't know how it. But now that I have grandchildren, I try. It's really hard though. You can know the theory and know what to do, but still we have certain patterns in our minds and that are just like, we're in that groove. We have certain patterns. It's really, really hard to get out of. It's work to get out of it and to be conscious of this all the time. But I definitely think it could work in preschool, kindergarten, any age.
But I believe that the steps that you have already mentioned, like self-awareness, self-management, knowing your feelings, I think those need to be taken before we go to those steps.
Yeah.
Because time to time, when I do something like this with my kids, they say, okay, that's your problem. For example, if I say something like, okay, this is the third time that you're not coming to the, for the dinner, and I feel like I'm frustrated, and they're all following that, and they say, this is who I am, and that's your problem time to time when they're younger. But talking about their emotions and giving some space for emotions and teaching them how to self-manage and those kinds of first steps before we do nonviolent communication.
Yeah, that's a
I think
really
that is
good
also
point.
important.
Yeah, because first they have to be aware of their feelings before they start talking about them, understanding other person's feelings, because they're expecting them to have empathy for you. But before that, they have to be aware of their own feelings. Yeah, which is, what you try to do with a little toddler or because they get angry. They don't know why they're angry, So you try to say, use your language, what's going on, and try to get them to understand their own feelings. It's huge. It's huge. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example now from this book that Gülis Kraft and I wrote. Here, I'll show it to you here. Okay, yeah, okay. Ta-da. This is I'll be talking about this one particular activity from this on conflict resolution, which I've used in the Win Peace camps for many, many years. I've used in other trainings for many years. It's a very easy to use activity, and the kids, like, I've used it with like 4th graders up to adults. Okay, the basic idea is for a conflict resolution role play, you have to create a scenario. Okay, and the idea is that you have 2 people for something, 2 people against something, so there's a conflict, right? And then you have a mediator who will hopefully solve or try to negotiate the conflict. All right, so one thing the mediator is going to do is, if you have a schema like this for person A, person B, person C, and person D, like let's say person A and B are for whatever it is. Let's say it's, I don't know what it is, maybe having chicken in the, or how about being vegan in the cafeteria or something like that. So you've got 2 people for it, and then C and D are against it, okay? And so you create a scenario like that. For each person, you need to find what their needs are, what they're worried about, and hopefully what their minimum requirements are. Like, what would they be willing to negotiate about too? What would be their minimum requirements for them to be happy? If you can get all this down, you've basically solved it, but it's pretty impossible. Well, not impossible. It's very hard to get their minimum requirements and even concerns down. If you can get their needs down though, that's a huge step. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course it could be just 2 people. But if you're in a classroom, you're always trying to use as many kids as possible. So yeah, I would have 2 for, 2 against, and actually then we do something called a fishbowl discussion, where I'll talk about that a little bit later, where you have like 4 people sitting around a table and other people are standing behind them, and then I clap my hands maybe, and then they switch places. The people standing behind will come up and sit down and continue the conversation, so you get kind of everybody in the class involved. You can do it that way, or you have different groups going on at the same time if you can manage that in your classroom. But yes, of course you can do it with only 2 people. Yeah, but the more kids you involve, the better, kind of stuff. That's why. Okay, so excuse me. The example that I wrote up in my book, I came up with this. It's called Güzelköy, and the scenario is that there's a resort on the Mediterranean, and there's a resort developer called Hans Richson, who wants to develop this, and he wants to make it into a huge, big thing with water slides and discos and all kinds of stuff. And he's going to cut down all the trees to do it and really kind of ruin the environment to do this, but he's not concerned about that. He's concerned about making money. And he's, of course, for this resort happening in Güzelköy. And then there's Murat, who's an unemployed youth who wants to work there. So he's for it also. And then you have Mrs. Conway, would be a retired, or Mr. and Mrs. Conway, would be a retired school teacher. And she's retired in this area and she wants to live there calmly and doesn't want any, so she's against this resort happening. And Mr. or Mrs. Green, all of these are of course gender fluid, depending on who's going to be playing that part. The director of the local Greenpeace would be against it for a lot of reasons. And then you have the Muhtar who's mediating, and he's up for election, or she's up for election, and so she wants to keep everybody happy. And I give everybody role cards, which explains exactly what's happening. They don't know what the other person's roles are necessarily. They will meet them and they will find out about them. So then you throw them kind of together and the mediator has to find out what their, according to the role cards, what they will be, what their needs are actually, and they mediate. And I think the next slide shows what a mediator does. You also have to teach the class what a mediator does. So these are the steps of what a mediator does. Number one, they establish the ground rules of acceptable behavior. Everybody has to participate in that step, and you ask what behavior is acceptable, what behavior is not acceptable. For example, name calling is not acceptable. And everybody has to agree and sign that. So you have a little contract before the main contract that you're going to sign. Okay, and then everyone will see that while the discussion is going on. Okay, so the first step then, after you get the ground rules, is to define the problem. Okay, which is actually not, in this example, it's easy because I designed it that way, but in real life, it's not so easy to define the problem because everybody thinks the problem is something else. So anyway, all the different parties define the problem, and they have to agree on what the actual problem is. The next step then is they list their needs and concerns and share them, excuse me. Then the mediator will conduct the actual negotiations according to the ground rules of acceptable behavior, and reach a solution that will minimally satisfy all parties. This takes about, I mean, of course, in a classroom, you don't have unlimited time, so you really have to make it work into your 40-minute period is probably impossible, but 2 40-minute periods, you can do it. And then you have them write up a joint statement and everybody solve it. And then if you have time, you present those to the class. And they've come up, the classes have come up, different groups come up with really original things of how to, you know, like little boutique bungalows, or I don't know, whatever. They have different ideas of how to solve it. Okay, yeah. So again, that was from the book. There's also more ways to teach relationships, skill-based skills and social awareness and responsible decision-making are in this book, and anybody can come to the center. I'm not sure where the center is right now, actually. That's something else, but you can contact me and I'll get one to you, okay? And we're giving them away. They're free at the moment, right? I guess. Yeah. So I really would like to, I would like them to be used. I'd like to hear your comments about them, feedback about them. It has a unit on ethical dilemmas also, where Gulise and I wrote lots of ethical dilemmas, and have your students discuss these ethical dilemmas. There's a unit on conflict resolution. Before you get to the point where you do the simulation, actually, or that role play that I just explained, which I hope you understood how it went. I don't know. There's also things you need to do about conflict resolution and just understanding how a conflict flows, etc. There's other activities about that. The book is full of just activities that are very easy, kind of plug and play to use in your classroom. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example from this same book about bullying and what to do if you have a bullying situation. This is a face-to-face bullying situation. There's other things to do if you have kind of a cyberbullying situation. But first, for example, if you find and you can elicit this from your students, like find a film that has a clip, a segment where there's bullying shown, like Mean Girls has one. I don't know, there's plenty of movies that have little clips of bullying. And then you divide the class into 4 different groups. Okay, next slide. And you will have them look at the roles of the people in this. One person would be the bully. In any kind of bullying situation, there's always a bully. There's always accomplices to the bully. They're little yes men or yes girls or whatever. There's a victim, and there's passive observers. Of course, the main thing is you want to get those passive observers not to be passive observers. You want them to get in there and do something. That's the whole point of it. So you will have the students assign them, okay, look at the bully's role. What is he doing? Look at the bully's accomplices. What are they doing? Look at the victim's role. What is that person doing? Could be more than one victim. Look at the observer's roles. What are they doing? Okay, next slide. And each group will observe, one character and answer these kind of questions. Okay, what are the facts? What's the problem? What's happening? How does the character you're observing perceive the situation? How do they feel? What might be the underlying reason for this person's behavior? What fears, what needs do they have? I mean, that's huge. Again, trying to understand their feelings, trying to understand their needs underneath it. How do others react to the person? What are the consequences of that person's behavior? If you were the person, how would you react in that situation? And what are some possible alternative behaviors for this person? And what is the best way of reacting? Okay. To counteract bullying, then, of course, you have to show this. You don't want, you want to guide them to be able to understand these main points, that you do not leave vulnerable people alone, that you ask for help. And the third point is really huge. A bully can only survive when the majority of students go along with it. Okay, and a bully can't take on a whole crowd of people against them. That'll destroy the bully. And don't be a passive observer. Main point, get your friends to join you in defending the underdog and be an activist for anti-bullying. Okay. And then you can take that same story and rewrite it so it has a positive ending. And then you can role play it in the classroom. And then for homework, you could have them bring an example of bullying that they've seen or they witnessed, or they can make it up. Please make it, you don't want to have it so that they are bringing something that will then create problems in the class. They can say it's imagined, or they can just have an imagined scene. And then you can use that as the raw material for your next role play. And you can do the same thing with that as your content. Okay. All right, now I've got half an hour. I guess we are going to take the whole time. Okay, because since I was a literature teacher, I really think that social and emotional learning, a huge, powerful tool for teaching it is literature, because literature really is a gateway to social and emotional learning if you use it right. Literature is basically about inhabiting the mind of another person. You're inhabiting the mind of that author. You're inhabiting the mind of different characters. You see a different world. You see a different culture. It's so powerful, but you have to pick your texts carefully. That's really important. So I have a couple texts here that, and I'm sure that you guys can think of many more. I picked just an example from each age group and one that's available in Turkish, but all of these are all translated actually from English. The Frog and Toad, Our Friends series is just a wonderful series for the very early learners, for preschool, for kindergarten, for first grade. It's about these two, Frog and Toad and their friends and their friendships. And it's just so sweet. And you can talk about so much with, why did Toad feel this way? Why did Frog do this? Et cetera. They're just a wonderful resource. For a little older students, Kate DiCamillo has written many books that have a lot of social and emotional intelligence shown in them. One is called Because of Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie is the dog. So, and we'll do a couple examples from that. It's about this boy goes into a supermarket, and the supermarket's name is Winn-Dixie. In the South, they have an actual supermarket chain called Winn-Dixie. And a dog is making problems there, and they're going to kick the dog out and send it to be killed, basically. And this boy says, "No, it's my dog," and then he takes the dog home. And then it's his adventures with the dog. Okay, next. Stargirl is for kind of 8th, 9th graders, I would say. It's kind of a little budding love story, but not really. It's about a girl who's who's an outcast, but is a very strong character, and it's about standing up to bullies and being who you are despite what people say. And then there's Hawkins' Journey, which is a series of what do you call those kind of like a cartoon book? I forget what you call it now. Yeah, it's like a comic book. There's a better word for it, though. It's more like a literature-based word for it. But anyway, this is about a Syrian guy. It's in three series, and it's a true story of his journey to. He comes from Syria to Turkey, actually, and then from Turkey he goes on into Europe. So we really understand what the travels and travails that this poor guy has faced. And I think we need a lot of empathy for that in this country. Okay, so right now I would like you to think, we do have time. These are typical reading comprehensions. Okay, this is from this book, Winn-Dixie. Okay, like I told you, it's about I'm not sure whether it's a boy, I guess it's a girl, I'm sorry. A girl who, her mother left, and then she finds the dog, she's kind of alone. And it's reading comprehension questions are what all teachers ask, right? So some basic reading comprehensions would be like, how old was Opal when her mother left? Okay, or how does she realize her dog is missing? Or why is Otis put in jail? Okay, so those are basic reading comprehension questions because the teacher wants to know whether the student read the book or not. Okay, well, instead of just asking those kind of questions, you can ask more about their emotional states. So if we click on that, I'm hoping that they will show up because oopsie. Oh, go down. Yep, there they are. Okay, because this was, I just took right from a blog, basically. Okay, so some social and emotional based questions that you could ask instead of those traditional questions are like, how does Opal's posture and voice change when she's speaking to Winn-Dixie? Okay, so getting some empathy or some understanding of what's going on with her. Okay, or how does she feel about her mother's leaving? Not how old was she when her mother left, but how does she feel about it? And how does she show her emotions about this? How do you know she feels this? Okay, because the author has really taken a lot of care in trying to show the emotions of this character. Okay, in what way does Opal control her impulses? Okay, how do you know this? How is this behavior shown to you? When she faces a stressful situation, how does she deal with it? So asking those kind of questions are one step much deeper than just the typical reading comprehension questions. And they will really help guide your students. Those are really what we should be using literature for. Like, what do we care? How old Opal was when her mother left? Who cares? You know, but we do care, like, how does she feel about her mother leaving? How do you show your emotions about that? How might somebody show their emotions about their mother leaving? Okay, next. Yeah. Next slide then. Oh, there they are. Okay. Okay. Okay. I don't really remember what the next slide was, to tell the truth. But I can find it. Okay, let me look for, while you look for that, I'll look for the next slide. Oh, okay. Okay, we're getting into some what strategies. Oops. No, we're not into that. No, we're not getting into that. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. There's this terrible. Okay. Can we, if we could do it so that there's no echo? Is there still an echo? Yeah. It doesn't help. Oh, there we go. No, still an echo. Okay, we're going to talk next about strategies, other strategies to deal with things in literature, and then classroom management also. I really want to get to the classroom management part. Well, how did you do it last time?
I don't have the
Sorry, folks.
microphone on. I don't have the speakers on, but I'm still having that problem.
Is it working now?
Yes.
No.
Well,
Okay, okay, great. Okay, there's no echo now, so let's
yeah,
go on.
here it
Okay,
sounds-
okay, so, okay, another thing you can do with literature is like, if you have something like two characters are fighting, okay, you can stop the action and then role play what they could do and what they could do or what they could say instead. I remember I did this with when I was teaching a play about the Irish Civil War, and there were two sides that were fighting each other, and we stopped the action. At the end of the book, we went back and said, okay, at this point, if we could stop the action, what could they do to make it be a positive outcome instead of this horrible negative outcome that you can have them stop the action and rewrite the ending of the book, or rewrite it from that point on. And how would that go on? Okay, next. Okay, so in general, classroom strategies, opening and closing circles, we talked about that, mindfulness, role play, just summarizing a little bit, simulations, group work and project work. Okay, next. Group work, I talked about the fishbowl discussions, like, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but let's say the dots inside the darker circle are the people who are actually having the discussion. In the lighter circle around them, you have people observing what's going on and then reporting about it. Also, like I said, I would have lines of people outside in back of the people in the inner circle, and then I would clap my hands, and then they would switch places with that, and they would continue that discussion, so you can get a whole class discussion going that way. Okay, next. Main thing is you got to practice what you preach. You have to do what you're telling your students to do, and that's not always easy. You have to use non-judgmental language. Like in my example before, you're always late. Okay, if you say stuff like that to your students, that's not modeling the behavior that you are setting out to change. You have to use non-judgmental language whenever possible. Again, do group work whenever possible. In doing group work, it's like which students sit next to which students. That's really important. Seating plan is really important. Like what you can do once a week, you can stop and say, okay, this is a secret ballot. You get to tell me who you want to sit next to, who you don't want to sit next to, and why. Okay, and who was a great contributor to classroom peace this week? Who was that? Okay, and kids know that they may not get who they won't all get who they want to sit next to, but you honor it as much as you can. The main point of doing this is so that, again, you have your pulse on what's going on in the class. Is there one kid that's being ostracized? Why is that kid being ostracized? This is how you can find out this kind of stuff. Who's being like popular, the great contributor or whatever, who's being popular, why? Okay, one other thing before we got time still. Another really important part of teaching responsible decision-making and teaching responsible how to deal with relationships is peer mediation programs. I'm not going to go into this a lot. I think my links weren't working for this, but see if you can. No, let's not do it because then it'll mess everything up again, right? Okay. Anyway, if you follow that link, this will be on YouTube. You can follow it there. In Turkey, there's a guy, Abbas Turnuklu, who has been working with peer mediation groups for 20 years at least, or something like that. He's gotten awards for it, and Sabancı's Fark Yaratanlar, there's a video about him doing it, which I was going to show you, but I won't. Anyway, the basic idea of peer mediation programs are you don't step in and say what kids should do in a problem. You have a mediator who's a child, who's their peer, mediate what is going on. So you have to train them a little bit. It can be done in the classroom. Abbas has set it up so that he has created school-wide programs. So there are some students in the school who are really trained in this peer mediation. And whenever there's a big problem, the teachers send the students to the peer mediators, and they actually mediate what's going to happen, what happens. It's been extremely successful, both I think in the classroom and on the in the whole school setting. Okay. Yes, that's it. Organization. These are some of Abbas's books. I just looked it up on the internet. You can, they are very easy to use books. It's really, really, you know, in simple language. I mean, it's in Turkish, but it's very simply set out, like how to do, what the kids say, you know, very, very useful. Okay. Another program that you have to pay for your school to get this program. I don't know what it is, but it's, don't you have to pay for Lions Quest? Yes. The school pays, but it's a wonderful program all the way from kindergarten up until high school and including high school about social and emotional learning. Our center has been also part of this. Maggie who's here, could probably say some words about, you want to say some words about Lions Quest? I was going to show this little thing, but then we'll get all messed up again. So Maggie, why don't you just say something about it since you're here? Yay. No, we can't hear you. Oops. Can you unmute yourself? Can we unmute her?
I can only ask, but I cannot do it.
Okay, now you'll have to unmute yourself there. Nope. Okay. Well, maybe we just play this thing then. Irmak Schools is using their program. Peace begins with me.
Begins with me and grows is all of us. For people word I know myself. I express my feelings. I control my anger. I listen to others. I empathize. I respect differences. I say no to bullying. I'm a problem solver. Because I am human. I am colorful. I'm colorful. I'm hopeful for the future. We glow, and grow in peace.
We provide a relationship-based learning environment for a peaceful classroom.
We understand that every student is unique and valuable. We always care about social emotional learning.
We believe that social emotional learning increases peace, first in the classroom, then at school, and finally in society at large.
Square's social emotional learning program
really?
provides peace
Okay, then let's stop. Let's stop the video then and have Maggie talk.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. Sorry. Still not working? No, okay. Anyway, it's a wonderful program. Again, they train the teachers in how to use these concepts, and it's all the way through, kind of sustainable all the way through different age groups. Two other resources, Sınıfta Barış El Kitaba by Bir Başka Okul Mümkün has very, again, easy to use activities in it. Mine Güven has edited a book on çocuklar sosyal ve duygusal öğrenme. Do you want to say something about that?
I'm not sure about. Do you guys hear me? I can talk through Jenny's laptop if you can, because we are going to have that
Yeah. here, just talk
echoing
through.
again. Actually, I'm not going to say much about the book, but you know, it's all about social emotional learning in childhood, and we try to have, you know, collect all the information in the literature about social emotional learning, and we have like 4 different. The structure of the book, you know, has that 4 different chapters, I may say, and we have like included the theory and the conceptual framework of social emotional learning, a little bit of history and how the actual area, the field is developed in the recent years. And afterwards, we have included some chapters related to families supporting children's social emotional learning and how we do this in schools. And lastly, we have included some chapters related to research and the, you know, measurements and the tools that we use in research, measuring social emotional learning, and that's about it.
Okay, thank you. It gives you kind of a general background. Oh, Maggie says, mention Lions Quest is free for state schools. Oh, that's great. Super. Okay, thank you so much, Maggie. Okay, another resource, of course, is our book, which again, if you email me at jsertel@gmail.com, or I guess that's the best way. I'll try to get a copy to you. Okay. Okay, so I think that's about it. The next ones that are coming up are, again,
I think this is the last.
no, yeah, these are the ones that are coming up next in the series. And I'd just like to open it for questions or discussion. If anybody has any questions or discussions, either here in the audience or there. And I also want to say, Aishagu, thank you for letting us see your face. It's wonderful. Okay. Anybody have any questions or anything they want to say?
Can you show that slide with the different meetings again so I can jot down?
Yeah, we have a request to put the different meetings on again.
I don't have it right now.
I'll get that to you afterwards. Okay. Nothing else? No comments? All right, this is another little strategy. Just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down for whether you like this talk or not. I do this in classes too. Oh, nice, another person. Jada, thank you so much. Put your thumb up if you got something out of this, okay? Put your thumb down, or you can, if you want to be like, it was okay. Okay, go like that. That's something I do in face-to-face classes and on Zoom so that you can see what's going on. Oh, it's so wonderful to see your faces. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, again, let me write in the chat my email. Oh, I can't write in the chat. Can you write in the chat my email? Oh, I can write in the chat, can I? Of course I can. I'll write my email and I'll try to get a copy of the book to you. Tell me whether you want it in Turkish or in English. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, mwah. Okay, bye-bye.